It just looks so beautiful, and it's tall, and just I think I would sit there all day just to look at it because there's so much to see in it. And of course, the colors they've used, I keep using the word vibrant, but that's exactly what they are. They're just explode out there. It's an explosion of
It
color.
is. And one of the things you mentioned, the color, one of the things we always want to make sure people know is so Radiant Nature is a separate ticket from our general admission. It is a nighttime show, but the lanterns obviously are there during the day. And the color that you see in the lanterns is in the fabric stretched over the metal frame. So people that come during the day, they still get at least a nice taste of the lanterns. It's not like some light shows where all you see is like white bulbs on green wire or something. Like the lanterns are an installation worth seeing in the day
Yeah.
as well. And so we always encourage people, we love for people to see it both day and night. But we know there are some people that maybe can't make it out at night, or the extra ticket is a little bit more than our daytime ticket. We encourage them to come out while the show is in town and still get to see it. We have some signage that goes along with the show that explains what some of the plants are, explains some of the Chinese traditions behind some of the Asian culture section. That stuff is all available to our daytime visitors as well. But really, it just boosts the overall visitation experience throughout the winter season.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Spotlight Houston, where we bring you the best people, places, and events in Greater Houston. As the holidays wrap us in their festive glow, there's no better time to escape the hustle and bustle and immerse yourself in the natural beauty of the Houston Botanic Garden. Today we're joined by Justin Lacey, Director of Communications and Community Engagement, who will take us on a vibrant journey through radiant nature. From illuminated temples to playful pandas, this mile-long trail offers a magical experience for visitors of all ages. Get ready to discover the stories behind the blooms, the seasonal wonders, and how this unique space became one of Houston's most enchanting holiday traditions. This is episode 117, with an original air date of Monday, December 23rd, 2024. Spotlight Houston is brought to you by Story Zone Media. And now, here's your host, Blanca Quezada.
Is everybody ready for Christmas, Hanukkah, and of course Kwanzaa holidays? Because they're here and I'm really excited about it. Can't wait. There's so much anticipation from making sure that we didn't forget all the gifts we had to give. And of course, baking those cookies and our favorite meals. And of course, the traditions. We have to remember our traditions for celebrating these wonderful holidays. But just the excitement of it all, getting together with the family and friends, or just enjoying the meaning of the holidays on our own can be somewhat overwhelming. So I suggest that we just take some time, take a breath, and enjoy what's happening in your life. And you can, of course, find other ways to relax before or after the festivities by visiting the Botanic Garden. And that's located here in Houston. You don't have to go very far. It's just right outside the downtown area, but it's bursting with the most beautiful and vibrant colors you've ever seen. And of course, you can enjoy the mesmerizing light displays. And the displayer, the exhibit, I'm calling it an exhibit because that's what it looks like. And it's called Radiant Nature. And it's really like walking into another world. I've invited Justin Lacey. Hi, Justin.
Hello.
He is the Director of Communications and Community Engagement to tell us all about the Botanic Garden and the beautiful, impressive lantern light installations. Justin, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
I couldn't wait. Well, I couldn't wait to have you here.
No, I've been looking forward to it as well.
Before we start getting into this beautiful lantern installations there, why don't we first let's start talking about the uniqueness of the amazing space in the middle of the city, because like I said, it's like walking into a different world. And first of all, tell me when the Botanic Garden was established.
Of course. So we opened to the public in September of 2020. So we are just over 4 years old now. Construction started back in 2019, but the planning goes back literally decades. So there were a couple of women, one more on the political side, one who was a former Garden Club of America president, a couple of local women that really wanted Houston to have a botanic garden in the city limits. And so probably mid to late 80s, they start kind of looking around, gathering interest. The organization was officially formed as a nonprofit in 2002. So it took almost 20 years to really bring it to fruition. But it's a beautiful place built on a former golf course, which presents a lot of interesting opportunity. But like you said, we are just without traffic, just minutes from downtown off of I-45 South at Broadway Park Place, similar to going to Hobby Airport, but we are on the east side of I-45 South instead of west like Hobby.
Going towards Galveston. Yeah. Well, I remember when the golf course was there, and it was a very nice golf course. But why was it so important for these ladies to consider the area to be created into this habitat?
Absolutely. One of the key things is Houston itself didn't have a botanic garden in the city limits. And several of the people involved in this project are the type that have traveled all around the country, traveled around the world, and they understood that a botanic garden, a living museum, as we like to call it, a museum for plants, is a key component of the cultural landscape of major cities. And Houston certainly is a major city and aspires to be a major city. So in that respect, that's why they wanted the garden to exist. And they wanted it to be accessible as possible. We have the Mercer Botanic Garden, which is a lovely facility. It is a county facility, and it is up on the north side near Bush Intercontinental. But they wanted something that was more central. And as you can imagine, we're talking late 80s, early 90s, finding a piece of land for something like that in the city was already getting to be a challenge. And one of the reasons that we are where we are is that the nonprofit was working with the city to look at pieces of property. And there were a couple of municipal golf courses, the Glenbrook Golf Course being one, which is where we are built. The city was basically looking to divest itself of that facility. And so at the time, Mayor Anise Parker, who is a gardener, was her administration. And so she was the one that was really able to connect those dots. And so once that the land became available in 2018, things really did start to move then. One of the things about this site is having been a golf course, it's 132 acres, so there's plenty of room to work with. We have a 30-year master plan for the site.
It's huge.
Yeah, it is huge. And one of the things I love about it so much is Sims Bayou plays an integral part in the site. And being the Houston Botanic Garden and Houston being the Bayou City, like I love kind of that interplay with the site and the Bayou. We actually, 70 acres of the property is completely surrounded by Sims Bayou, so it makes kind of an urban island, which is a really neat thing. We like to say the largest urban island in Houston because we don't know of another one. But I'm a native Houstonian. I grew up on the east side in Channelview. And when I found out about the project, when I was looking for a new opportunity, and I found out about the project and saw where it was being built, I grew up having to go across town to go to any kind of cultural organization, any museum. We have great museums. Yeah. So all those things are great, but they are all kind of in one place. And to me, it was really meaningful that this was being built in Southeast Houston and a part of town that has historically been overlooked maybe for amenities like this. And it's been a real blessing in working at the garden and being able to make connections in the Southeast Houston community to see how we've been embraced and how we're able to bring this to people who we do a concert series from time to time. Very affordable, very kind of low key. Neighbors, members, they love that. They haven't had live music in their neighborhood before in a long time. And so that's been one of the great things that we've been able to do.
Yeah. Were you able to keep a lot of the old trees that were there? Because the trees were beautiful.
We have a lot of legacy trees on site, and we have incorporated them into our plant collections. In fact, we just recently received what's called ArbNet Arboretum certification, which we had to have a certain number of trees. And so that's been something we've been working towards. But yes, so we are a botanic garden, but because of the nature of the site before we moved in, we are already reached Arboretum status as well.
Yeah. So what can people expect to see once they get there, as soon as they walk up to the entrance?
Yeah, they're going to see a world of plants. We have a very diverse plant collection. We have tropical, subtropical, and arid plants literally from all around the world. My ongoing joke is that we have something from everywhere but Antarctica. And one of the things that's great too about the garden in Houston and the diversity of it is that many people, no matter where they come from, they're going to both find something familiar, but also maybe find something new. And so we love hearing from people who find something in our tropical garden or in our arid or cactus garden, and they say, that reminds me of wherever they're from. Some of them will say, I haven't seen that plant, or that I haven't thought about that plant since I left years ago, decades ago, things like that. And so for a city like Houston that's so metropolitan and so international, I think that's one of the things that I hope people are really impressed with and really take away from it is we have native plants, we have familiar plants, but we also have some pretty unique collections of plants as well. We want people to understand the different climates. Our global collection garden, for instance, is regionally themed. So you literally go into like a tropical type area. There's a cactus area. There's a Mediterranean area. You can go in an area and be completely surrounded by bamboo. We like to say you can almost feel like you're going around the world in just a matter of acres instead of 80 days.
Yeah. So you have the gardens in a very unique place, but we're also able to divide it into different sections. Depending on where the plants came from.
Absolutely. And so again, there's kind of some of these immersive environments. You're really into tropical plants, you can walk into what we call the tropical heart and literally be surrounded by tropical plants. You want to see kind of those arid plants, you can walk through our arid valley, boulders from Arizona, like you're going to feel like you've been kind of taken away to another place.
Yeah. You have the island, the natural ecosystem area, and the South Garden. And you have a beautiful fountain as well.
We do.
There's so much to see in so little time. But what is your favorite section?
Oh, goodness. That question. To kind of punt, I will say it changes sometimes by the time of year. We have a wide variety of plants that bloom throughout the year. I am partial to the arid valley and the cactus garden. It's different. It is so atmospheric. Those plants are just fascinating kind of in their shape and size and scale. But other times of year, we have a beautiful pollinator garden when a wide variety of different colors of blooming plants have their flowers out. That's a really lovely spot. I probably learned the most from the culinary garden, being a city boy myself and getting to see different edible and medicinal plants growing seasonally in that space. I learned a lot about loofah, and that's comes from a squash, and watching that whole process has been fascinating as well.
Yeah. So do the plants get rotated around depending on the weather? Because the weather here in Houston is so crazy.
Yeah, it depends. It depends on the section of the garden. It depends on what the plant is. We actually did, which this week has been odd because it's been so warm, but we actually did just move a large number of more sensitive plants from what we call the Corner of Curiosity, which is one of the places we have some of our more unique plants. We did move those plants into our on-site greenhouse just this week, and they will overwinter in there now, just in case. The culinary garden is very seasonal, so there's a lot of change out now. Even in the culinary garden, we do have what we call the collection plants, which are the plants that are there the whole time. We have pear trees, apple trees, Mexican plums, figs, things like that are there all the time. But then there are a lot of those seasonal crops that will change out depending on what time of year you come.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes that as visitors, we don't get to see all the work that needs to be done.
That's true. And we're trying. That's an area where we're trying to be better about letting people in behind the scenes a little bit. We've been using some more signage to help people understand what's going on. We are in the process of diversifying our banana collection, which is already one of our larger ones. And so we actually had to pull a large number of like the same type of banana out of a space. So it looks a little more open than people may have been used to. And temporarily it may look like, oh, we've taken something away. But what we're doing is we're clearing out space so we can bring in a whole new selection of banana varieties. And we're ultimately going to grow to have 50 of them, 50 different varieties.
Wow.
And so we put out some signage to let people know, hey, what you're seeing now is temporary. It's for a good reason. But, things don't happen overnight. And so we need to clear the space out in the spring. We can't really plant new bananas before winter. We'll plant them in the spring. And so come back and you're going to see this area completely transformed in a short matter of time.
Are you going to get to sell any of these bananas?
Well, it'll be interesting to see. The way the weather has worked so far, we have not really been able to bring a banana harvest all the way to edible because we've had those freezes like on a regular basis. But if we could get a we see the fruit start. We just haven't really seen bananas come through to fruition. But there are a lot of other things.
I'm going to keep my fingers crossed.
Yes, of course. There are a lot of things that we are able to harvest. And what we will do when we harvest things is we will put them out for the public to pick up on a Saturday morning. And so anyone that comes to visit is welcome to take home. We've had eggplant and different types of herbs and a wide variety of things that people are able to take home with them.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So can we buy or donate plants as well?
We are not currently doing plant sales. Our greenhouse that I mentioned is brand new as of this past spring. And so it has finally opened up space for us to do some on-site propagation. But as of this stage, we don't have anything really that we can sell yet. And also when it comes to donations, people reach out. We're always happy to hear what you might have. But being a living museum, there's a lot of information that we need to know about the origin of the plants that we bring into the collection. And so we are limited in what we are able to actually accept as donations. But that is a good question.
Yeah. Well, as you mentioned, it's a living museum. And truly it is, because there's a lot of different plants and flowers and just so much of nature to see out there. And the colors can sort of be like compared to a Monet painting, right? In some areas with all the flowers and these vibrant colors. It is just beautiful.
No, thank you. Yeah, no, there was a lot of thought put into the original design, and then our horticulture staff is constantly tweaking things and seeing what's working well and deciding on what they can do to add to different areas. And yeah, there's a lot of thought about how the different plants in an area complement each other, how they play off of each other. This season, we've just had our kind of peak camellia blooms. And so we've got white, and red, and pink, and a wide variety of camellias blooming at one time that present a very nice show. We'll do the same thing later with daylilies, with amaryllis. But no, you're right. It's beautiful. I mean, it really is a place to visit year round.
And it's really a great place to introduce to kids.
Absolutely. No, we have a family. The Susan Garver Family Discovery Garden is for people of all ages, but there's definitely elements there that kids love, like our hands-on water play and the boardwalk maze. And we are working towards some additions in that area that'll make it even more interactive and engaging.
Yeah, it'll be great to have interactive activities for kids, because that way they can learn a little more.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Well, the other thing I really couldn't wait to talk to you about, as I mentioned earlier, are your installations.
Yes.
They're not necessarily your traditional holiday lights. Like we have so many beautiful ones around the city. This is so unique. It's so mystifying, so awesome, just incredible. There's so many words that we can use to describe it, but it doesn't do it justice. To me, it just looks like, again, you're in a different world. You're in a different world.
We had a visitor recently post and mention something about kind of like Alice in Wonderland type feeling. And I had not thought about that, but I can see that for sure. It's a very immersive show. The lanterns are all larger than life. Once you start the trail, it's about a mile-long trail. And once you start it, I mean, you are basically surrounded by lantern installations pretty much the entire way. No, we were very thoughtful about that. And you mentioned it is not a traditional Christmas show. Certainly, Houston has a number of great ones already. We didn't really want to come in and bring just the same thing to the market. And our partners that we work with on the lanterns are so incredibly thoughtful. You're going to see plants that we literally have in our collection, like Louisiana iris, like purple coneflower, some varieties of daylilies. It's designed to be really reflective of the garden, this organization helps our partner does shows all around the country, so they have a vast array of things they can pull from, and they do. And that's why we did this last year, we're doing it this year. If you came last year, what you're going to see this year is all new. They brought in all new things.
Oh, great.
And that's the intention moving forward, that there's always all new things to come and see. So even people that have seen it once, have discovered it, they'll want to come back. We're already hearing from people that are like, this is going to be our new tradition. This is the spot to be. And we love to hear that. But we wanted something that was going to celebrate plants. And then we also love that our partner is a Chinese company. And so there are Asian Lunar New Year components, things like that as well, which again, for a diverse place like Houston, is just another great way for us to celebrate all the things that make Houston so great. And we have people, it's a show for everyone. We have people of all backgrounds coming, whether they celebrate Christmas or not, whether they celebrate Hanukkah, whether they celebrate Kwanzaa, if they celebrate the Lunar New Year, Diwali, any of those things that they celebrate, they're going to feel comfortable at Radiant Nature. And we want them to.
Yeah, I can't wait to see I'm sorry, Justin. I was going to tell you, I can't wait to see the 40-foot temple.
It's beautiful. And it's surrounded by these lantern cranes. And again, this is not just lights. Many of the installations have moving components. So some of the cranes are flapping their wings. There's a bubble machine in that area that puts out bubbles that kind of makes for a really magical experience as well.
Yeah, I mean, it just looks so beautiful and it's tall and just, I think I would sit there all day just to look at it because there's so much to see in it. And of course, the colors they've used, I keep using the word vibrant, but that's exactly what they are. They're just explode out there. It's an explosion of color.
It is. And one of the things you mentioned, the color, one of the things we always want to make sure people know is so Radiant Nature is a separate ticket from our general admission. It is a nighttime show, but the lanterns obviously are there during the day. And the color that you see in the lanterns is in the fabric stretched over the metal frame. So people that come during the day, they still get at least a nice taste of the lanterns. It's not like some light shows where all you see is like white bulbs on green wire or something. Like the lanterns are an installation worth seeing in the day as well. And so we always encourage people, we love for people to see it both day and night, but we know there are some people that maybe can't make it out at night or the extra ticket is a little bit more than our daytime ticket. We encourage them to come out while the show is in town and still get to see it. We have some signage that goes along with the show that explains what some of the plants are, explains some of the Chinese traditions behind some of the Asian culture section. That stuff is all available to our daytime visitors as well. But really, it just boosts the overall visitation experience throughout the winter season.
Mm-hmm. So I understand you have 55 installations.
There are about 55, yes. And those vary, but when we say installation, like the temple is obviously one big thing, but a lot of the rest of them are a collection. Like there's a collection of daffodils and there's a collection of roses. And so when we say, that's why we kind of focus on the number of installations versus literal individual pieces. But it is about a mile-long trail, and you are basically walking by something or through something the entire time.
And how long did it take to do the installations?
They sent over 29 artisans from China this year, and it took them about a month to get it all set up.
Wow. And you had about 83,000 people that showed up last year. So do you expect more this
We
year?
are hoping for more, yes. The show, one of the things we do with this show, because it's not traditional Christmas, we run it a long time. So it'll be open through February 23rd. That will allow it to be open for Lunar New Year celebrations in late January. Will be open Valentine's weekend, for instance. It's a great date night opportunity. But yes, we are hoping that people last year responded really well to the show. We hope a lot of them come back again to see the all-new variety this year, but we also hope there are a lot of people that heard people talking about it last year or hearing people talking about it now that will come and check it out as well. And yes, we had our first year overall as the garden with more than 100,000 visitors last year, and we are certainly anticipating growth when the numbers come in for the end of this year.
Yeah, I can't wait to see is the ones that includes the pandas lounging in a bamboo forest.
I gave up counting. There are more than 40 pandas. So if you like pandas, you got to come out and see them. They are very playful.
It's going to be the perfect place for me.
Yes, pandas and bamboo. And that's the thing we love too, because we have a great bamboo collection. And so you look at the pandas and you're like, well, that's not really Houston. That's not, but it is tied to a plant that we have. And so that's another opportunity for us to highlight our actual plant collections in a fun way.
Yeah. So will you also be highlighting plants from Asia, like the ginkgo trees?
We do. There are some of the plants. There is a ginkgo tree, and that is something that we have grown in the garden before. And like I said, you'll see as you walk along, if you'll watch, there are these illuminated light boxes next to the plants, and they will give you a little bit of that backstory. Maybe where the plant is from or how it's used. Parts of it are used in different cultures, including Asian culture. But yes, we do highlight that as well.
Yeah. And of course, your angel wings. We can't miss the angel wings.
Now, that is one thing that is back. So I will say people that came last year will see those angel wings again because they are so popular. They make for great Instagram photos.
Yeah. So in order to get more information, what's your website address?
Yes, of course. So our website is h.org. So that's the first three letters, Houston Botanic Garden.org.
And do you have a phone number where we can call?
We do. The phone number is 713-715-9675.
Are there opportunities to volunteer at the
We
gardens?
love volunteers. There absolutely are. And you don't have to have a green thumb to volunteer. That's the other thing we like for people to know. We use volunteers in a variety of ways. We do have volunteers that work in the garden. But again, even then, if you can pull a weed, if you can help spread some mulch, we have a job for you. But we use volunteers as greeters. We have volunteer docents who offer tours and share what they love about the garden with our visitors. We have volunteers that work primarily in the office on administrative tasks, filing, helping clean up things, helping organize things. We have volunteers of all ages. We have retirees. We have folks that work that volunteer on the weekends. We can absolutely use you, and we would love to have you.
Yeah. You mentioned weeds. Houston is full of weeds.
It is a problem.
Those are never ending.
We have the same, run into the same things you run into gardening at home.
Yeah, for sure. Can we become members of the garden?
Oh, yes. And you must. Like I said, it's the best way to really enjoy the garden throughout all of the seasons. Members, for the year that your membership is active, you're getting free daytime general admission. You're getting discounts on some of our programming. You're getting to come to our festival weekends for free. You're getting a discount on Radiant Nature tickets. It is an excellent, every single one of our memberships, starting from an individual up to family and friends, they are all a great value. Yes, we encourage people so strongly to do that.
Yeah. And we can also donate, right?
Oh, yes, we are a 501c3 nonprofit, and we accept donations, whatever level, whether you want to give one time, give regularly. You can gift memberships to people. You can do different things like that as well, so that you can give to us and then give to others.
Yeah. And of course, you have a lot going on in January as well. You have the fun camps for kids and workshops and everything that you ever wanted to learn about plants, right?
Absolutely. Well, and one of our biggest things actually in January, we kind of lean into the whole idea of the new year and people making resolutions and trying new things and trying to make themselves better.
Mhm.
We have an event coming up on January 18th called Embody, and it is a morning-long health and wellness event. And basically across 4 hours, you're going to be able to pick from a full menu of options. There's yoga, meditation, dance classes, fitness classes. You can take a guided nature walk, and you basically choose one thing each hour for 4 hours, and you put together kind of this whole morning of what we're calling it cultivating wholeness, because some of the stuff is more on the mental health side, some is on the physical health side. And so that's something for sure in January that we would love to have people come out and see and participate in.
Yeah, and that's certainly the best place to be for doing that.
We have some of it will be outdoors, some of it we do have climate controlled tents, so we're prepared for weather. But no, hopefully even in January in Houston, there'll be some things that people can do outdoors and really take advantage of that, being in the natural surrounding and taking care of their mental and physical health.
Justin, can you give us the website again?
I certainly can. HBG for Houston Botanic Garden.org.
Well, Justin, thank you so very much for joining us to let everyone know that what the Botanic Garden is all about here in Houston. It's certainly a place to go if you've never been. You can explore and just feel like you're in a different world, like you're definitely in the middle of nature, and enjoy the lanterns while they're there. And will they be there until February, Justin?
February 23rd, yes.
Great. You heard Justin. You still have plenty of time to see these beautiful installations out there, and certainly enjoy your holiday as much as you can. And of course, thank you all as well for joining me. And please send me your comments or let me know if you have any story ideas. I wish you a great and happy holidays this season.
Happy holidays to you too.
Thank you.